The things we didn't know then. Isaac had always been so loud, not just in the way he spoke, though that too was impossible to ignore, but in the way he existed. He laughed too freely, talked too much, and took up space like he was afraid of disappearing if he didn't. Georgia, on the other hand, had always been quiet, not shy, never shy, but composed, observant, the kind of girl who listened first, thought carefully, and spoke only when she had something worth saying. They had gone to the same school since they were preschoolers, same hallways, same classrooms, same graduation ceremonies, different worlds. Isaac sat at the back, cracking jokes, waving his hands, earning reprimands and laughter in equal measure. Georgia sat near the front, neat handwriting, eyes sharp, mind already a step ahead. He annoyed her, and somehow he was always there. It became a running joke, at least to everyone else. Isaac always found his way into Georgia's orbit. Group projects, lunch breaks, school events, field trips. "Why are you always here?" Georgia asked him once, politely but exasperated. He grinned. "Fate." She rolled her eyes. To Georgia, Isaac was noise, distraction, someone who tried too hard to be seen. What she didn't know, what she never noticed, was how carefully he watched her, how he memorized her habits. The way she pushed her glasses up her nose when she was thinking. The way she frowned slightly before answering questions she already knew the answer to. She didn't see how he quieted down when she was near, or how, in a room full of people, she was the only one who made him feel steady. Georgia came from a small, close-knit family, dinners together, conversations that mattered, parents who showed up. She was practical, driven, already thinking about her future. Isaac came from something messier, a childhood shaped by absence and uncertainty, a grandfather who did his best, a mother who loved him fiercely but wasn't always there. So Isaac learned to be loud, learned that noise brought attention, and attention meant he existed. Georgia saw the behavior, she never saw the reason. High school graduation came faster than either of them expected. Caps, gowns, applause. Georgia stood on stage, receiving award after award, delivering the valedictory address with confidence and calm. In the crowd, Isaac screamed the loudest. She didn't hear it. After the ceremony, as people hugged and took photos, Isaac found her standing alone near the steps. He looked different then, quiet, nervous, almost shy. "I need to tell you something," he said. Georgia turned, surprised. He swallowed. "I like you, I always have." The words were soft, honest, nothing like him. Georgia froze. "I'm sorry," she said gently. "I don't feel that way." He nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, I figured. It's just something I needed to get off my chest before this day ends." And just like that, he was gone. After high school graduation, life moved fast. Georgia dove into her studies, achievements, and ambitions. Awards piled up, commendations came, and life seemed full, but quieter, emptier somehow. Isaac faded into memory. Not unkindly or dramatically, he simply stopped appearing in her life. She learned from classmates that his visa was finally approved, and he went to the UK shortly after high school graduation to study there for college. She sometimes remembered how nervous he had looked, the intensity in his eyes as he said he liked her. And every time she reminded herself, it wasn't mutual. It had never been. That chapter had closed neatly, like a book she had put back on a shelf. But one of her memories of him that kept on lingering in her mind was during the junior-senior prom. She knew. The moment he started walking towards her, she knew he would ask her to dance. She acted quickly and swiftly and told her friends, "I need to go to the bathroom." And off she went without ever looking back. It cringed her deeply. She never wanted to entertain the thought that there could be a romantic future between the two of them. It was better that way, she said. Yet sometimes, when a laugh or a voice reminded her of him, her chest tightened. Not longing, not regret, just awareness that someone important had passed through her life, leaving a mark she didn't fully understand. College introduced Georgia to people who made life exciting in new ways. Friends she could trust, experiences she could rely on, and a sense of independence that made her proud. She had relationships that felt meaningful, but each one eventually made her pause. Something in her chest always whispered that she was missing clarity, connection, a spark she hadn't yet understood. Her current suitor, Joe, seemed perfect on paper, attentive, supportive, smart, charming. She had no reason to doubt him. But sometimes, during quiet moments when she allowed herself to reflect, a tiny dissonance formed. Something was unreal. She turned him down. Her heart was never for him. It wasn't him. It was something within her, a sense that life had bigger lessons, that love might be more complicated than she thought. She dismissed Joe respectfully and wished him well. The timing felt right. Graduating at the top of her class brought an unexpected reward, a scholarship to study abroad for a master's degree in the United Kingdom. Oxford. The name alone carried prestige, possibility, and the chance to redefine herself in ways she had only imagined. Georgia hesitated only briefly. A leap this big required courage. It meant leaving her family, her familiar routines, and the life she had known. But she had promised herself she would create something of her own, carve her own path. With resolve, she packed her bags, kissed her parents goodbye, and boarded the plane. A new world awaited, and she intended to meet it head-on. She had been wandering through the streets near her new university building one crisp morning, still adjusting to the rhythm of the city when she collided, literally, with someone she hadn't seen in years. Isaac. The moment was surreal. Time seemed to twist. For heartbeat, Georgia's mind rewound to childhood, classrooms, playgrounds, laughter, and irritation. The loud boy she had known, the one she had tolerated with patience, stood before her, taller, calmer, more subdued, but unmistakably him. Georgia. His voice was incredulous, a mixture of happiness and disbelief. She laughed, awkward, shocked, heart racing. Isaac, wow, it's really you, how are you? It's been years. He was above the moon when he saw her, and it did not take a genius to see that. His expression felt genuinely real, and for her somehow it felt just right. Georgia was so fixated in disbelief that she did not notice the girl beside Isaac. Oh, by the way, this is Kylie. Kylie waved at Georgia and said hi. At first glance, Kylie was an image of a bubbly person, someone who felt like a friend right away. The two of them seemed really close to each other. She was pretty and looked so young, and for a moment, Georgia felt happy for his friend, that he had found someone who matched his energy if she were his girlfriend. They exchanged numbers, promised to keep in touch, and parted ways, leaving Georgia with a strange warmth in her chest. A mix of nostalgia, surprise, and the unexpected joy of reconnecting with an old friend. The day after their chance meeting, Georgia couldn't stop thinking about Isaac, not in the way one obsesses or longs or regrets. It was softer than that, like flipping through an old photo album and noticing details she had forgotten. The way he laughed too loudly, the mischief in his eyes, the moments she had rolled her eyes at, but secretly remembered fondly. She walked across the Oxford campus, her mind replaying their encounter. He had seemed so different now, more grounded. His voice, once full of teasing energy, carried a calm steadiness that suited him. She found herself wondering what had happened in all the years since graduation. How had loud, attention-seeking Isaac become the man who could still surprise her with just a glance? Within a week, Isaac reached out, suggesting a casual lunch to catch up. Georgia hesitated only briefly, curiosity outweighed caution. They met in a small cafe near the university. Over sandwiches and coffee, Isaac told stories she remembered, childhood pranks, school projects, shared friends. He laughed easily, occasionally glancing with an affectionate nod. Georgia found herself smiling without thinking, enjoying the rhythm of conversation that flowed naturally between them. "You've changed," Georgia said at one point, carefully. Isaac shrugged. "I guess life teaches you a thing or two." She nodded, letting the thought linger. The loud, brash boy she remembered had grown into someone thoughtful, patient, and kind. Over the next few weeks, they met occasionally for lunch, coffee, or quick walks across campus. Each time, Georgia learned something new about him. One afternoon, while sitting on a park bench, Isaac shared more than he had in years. "My mom, she worked hard as a nurse here in UK," he began softly. "She wasn't always around. I grew up with my grandfather, had to fend for myself a lot. I got loud because I didn't know another way to be heard. I was angry at the world, at my life." Georgia listened quietly. The boy she had teased, rolled her eyes at, and dismissed had carried burdens she had never imagined. "She saved up for years to finally bring me here after high school," he continued. "To give me a chance I didn't have before. I owe her everything." Georgia listened, silent, absorbing every word. "You were brave," she said softly, "to handle all of that at your age." He shrugged, a small, almost embarrassed smile crossing his face. "I didn't know any better. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I guess I just wanted to exist in my own way." Her heart softened. That boy who had been so loud, so insistent, had carried struggles she never could have imagined. And yet he had survived, grown, and still carried warmth in his eyes. Something shifted inside Georgia. She felt warmth, respect, and a quiet admiration. The realization softened her perspective. The boy who had annoyed her as a child had simply been fighting to survive. "I'm sorry I didn't see that sooner," she said softly. Isaac smiled gently. "No one had to. I'm glad you're here now." These past few weeks of reconnection made Georgia realize something subtle had changed. She looked forward to their casual meetings, the laughter, the shared memories. Isaac was patient, attentive, and easy to talk to. They reminisced about old school days, the moments that made them laugh, the moments that made them roll their eyes, and even the memories of his confession long ago. For Georgia, it was comforting. For the first time in years, someone from her past felt present in a way that mattered. She didn't realize how much she was enjoying his company or how slowly her feelings were beginning to shift. One afternoon, Isaac suggested a walk through one of the historic parts of Oxford. Georgia followed, amused by his enthusiasm. He pointed out old buildings, hidden courtyards, and quiet bookshops. He laughed easily, a sound that brought memories of their childhood mischief rushing back. He oftentimes looked at his phone. A simple glance made Georgia realize that it was Kylie. And this was not the first time it had happened. But every time, he would either message her quickly or excuse himself so he could take her call. She understood, and she respected those moments that Isaac had to excuse himself. For Georgia, it was strangely comforting, this old friend, now a man, guiding her through a city she was still learning to navigate. She realized she had missed the way he noticed the little things, the way he made the world feel livelier, warmer. But Georgia would dismiss the thought of anything comfortable with Isaac. Was she programmed this way because of how she remembered him? Maybe. But the thought of being close to this guy on a deeper level made her feel strange. And besides, he had Kylie. She would never find the strength to ask Isaac who Kylie was in his life. Deductive reasoning suggested she was his special person, and Georgia wanted to make peace with that. In the following weeks, they met frequently for brief lunches, casual coffee breaks, and quiet walks. Georgia laughed more than she had in months, remembering old childhood pranks, his endless energy, and even the moments that had annoyed her as a girl. Isaac laughed too, his humor gentler, quieter now, but still bright. The loud, attention-seeking boy had transformed into someone thoughtful, patient, and unexpectedly comforting. "Do you remember the time I tried to convince the teacher to let us leave class early?" Isaac asked with a grin. Georgia chuckled. "I remember being furious, and then laughing when it worked." The warmth between them grew naturally. She began to see the qualities she had never noticed before, his kindness, his intelligence, his unexpected sensitivity. One evening, after a brief walk through the autumn-tinted streets, Georgia realized something she hadn't expected. She was beginning to enjoy Isaac's company in a way that went beyond friendship. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't longing. It was admiration, respect, and comfort all intertwined. She remembered his childhood confession, the way he had looked at her back then, and now understood him differently. The boy who had shouted, laughed, and sought attention had grown into a man who carried depth, resilience, and warmth. Her feelings remained quietly restrained for now, but she recognized them. Something gentle was beginning, something unexpected, something that had always been there, just waiting for the right moment to be understood. As the weeks passed, Georgia and Isaac grew comfortable in their routines. Lunches, coffee breaks, and brief walks became their small, shared rituals. Each meeting revealed a new layer of Isaac she had never noticed before: patience, subtle humor, thoughtfulness in details. One afternoon, they found themselves on a quiet bench near the river, watching the reflections of the city lights dance on the water. "I never realized how much the city could feel alive," Georgia said softly. Isaac smiled. "It's different when you notice it. I've always loved this part, but I didn't want to wander alone." They sat in silence, content to simply exist in the same space, their presence speaking louder than words. Georgia felt an unexpected warmth in her chest, a gentle pull she couldn't yet name. By now, Georgia realized she was noticing things about Isaac she hadn't before. The small gestures, the way he remembered tiny details, the subtle humor that hadn't been there in the loud boy she remembered. It wasn't love, at least not fully formed, but something close, admiration, warmth, a fondness that surprised her. Georgia found herself enjoying Isaac's company more than she expected, cherishing their shared laughs and quiet talks. One evening, after a short walk, she paused and admitted to herself, silently, "I think I've underestimated him all these years." For Georgia, it was a quiet awakening. She didn't yet understand the depth of it, but she felt it. the shift from nostalgia to something more, something alive. It was a crisp Saturday afternoon. Georgia met Isaac for a quick lunch, as they had done countless times over the past months. Conversation flowed easily, laughter spilling between them as they shared memories from childhood. And then, in a quiet moment, Georgia realized something she hadn't allowed herself to admit before. She was falling for him, not just a nostalgic fondness or admiration, but something deeper, something that made her chest feel tight in the best way. She caught herself smiling at him in ways she hadn't noticed before, cherishing each gesture, each glance. Her heart stirred with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Isaac had Kylie, or at least she assumed so. And yet, she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward him. Months passed, and the subtle pull in Georgia's chest grew stronger. On a quiet evening, under the glow of streetlights near the university, she stopped walking and turned to him. I need to say something, she admitted, heart racing. It's been on my mind for months, and I can't keep it in any longer. Isaac tilted his head, curious. What is it? I like you a lot, she said softly, almost whispering. I've loved seeing you again. I missed you. Isaac blinked, stunned. Then he smiled, the slow, knowing smile that made her heart skip. But I will never act on this, Isaac. You have been gracious enough to show me around the city. You gave me your time, your attention, and a piece from the past that I will always cherish. Coming here was frightening, but somehow you made everything worthwhile, she said almost in one breath. I know you have Kylie, and she seems so amazing. And I will never interfere with your relationship with her. I just want to get this off my chest, because you deserve to know the truth. I don't understand, Isaac said gently. I mean, thank you for the confession. You have no idea how happy I am. But Kylie, what about her? Georgia, feeling embarrassed at this point, said, when you introduced her to me, I sensed the closeness. So I assumed you were a couple. And I never had the courage to ask anything because I never had any reason until recently. Isaac laughed, relief in his eyes. Oh, Kylie's my half-sister. My mother remarried, and Kylie is the daughter of Mom's husband from a previous marriage. In about a year, I gained a dad and a sibling. I myself am still processing the thought that I have a sister, but I've never seen Mom this happy, so I am happy too. Kylie also wanted to take up nursing like me. And when she got accepted at Oxford like you, I had to chaperone around to assist her. I'm sorry for the confusion. I never meant to mislead you. Her heart eased, and she felt a wave of warmth and joy. The timing, the misunderstandings, they didn't matter anymore. Isaac studied her for a moment, a mischievous glint in his eye. So you like me, huh? That took a while. They both laughed, and he came close to Georgia. Do you remember the day I confessed to you? High school graduation, he asked. She nodded, surprised. Yes, I never forgot, but why do you still remember? He smiled, his eyes sparkling with memory. Of course I remember. You were wearing that blue dress, your hair neatly pinned back. I screamed the loudest when you received your awards. I listened to your valedictory speech, and I guess first love never dies. Tears filled her eyes, and she laughed softly through them. You remembered all of that? I remembered everything, he said. And in that moment, Georgia felt the years collapse, the distance, the missed opportunities, all irrelevant. All that mattered was now. Isaac reached for her hands gently. During prom, you made an excuse not to dance with me. Do you still feel that way? Georgia laughed through tears, holding his hands closer. Not anymore. Music floated faintly from a nearby street performer. Without another word, they began to dance, spinning gently in the glow of the city lights, oblivious to the busy streets around them. She rested her head against his chest, smiling, finally understanding what had been waiting all those years. And Isaac held her, steady, warm, certain. Everything that had been missed, everything that had been delayed, it all led to this. The streets, the lights, the years apart, they didn't matter anymore, because for the first time, Georgia and Isaac were exactly where they were meant to be. The end.